Welcome to Straight from the Heart, a podcast of Health Education for Africa Resource Team, or as most friends know us, Africa Heart. I'm Jerry Kitchell, your host. Thank you for taking this time to hear about all God has done and continues to do through the life-changing, life-saving work of this ministry. In today's program, we're visiting with two very special people who serve as Heart ambassadors in Tennessee. David and Ginny Forbes are deeply committed volunteers and team members who have served Heart for years and who have taken many trips to Kenya where they've served on the front lines. Let's join the conversation with David and Ginny, recorded after their recent return from another great team trip to serve the women and children of Heart.
Well, I first heard about Heart through our church, Bayside Church, in 2014. And I was looking for a global mission trip to go on. And I actually happened to sit at the table of the leader for Heart. And I was just fascinated seeing all of the photos of the women and the children in Kenya and hearing about the work that they did. I was very interested in working with kids. So I loved the fact that it was an orphan prevention program.
And I got involved actually through Ginny, my wife. I kept hearing about Heart. Kind of to go backwards a little bit, I was attending the same church, Bayside, but I was involved mostly in serving locally through the church. But I always knew in my heart that that's what I was supposed to do, and I was supposed to serve. And I was very intrigued by the idea of going on a global mission. And once we got married, I kept hearing more about Heart, and I attended one or two of their fundraiser dinners and met some of the others involved, and I was just very much interested at that point to continue on. And then we had the opportunity in 2019 to actually go, and that was my first experience serving with Heart in Kenya.
So my first trip was 2014. And then I didn't get to go back until 2019. Then we couldn't go in 2020, but we've been there 2021, 22, and 23. So I've been to Kenya 5 times, and David has been 4 times.
Was there a hesitancy at first, just the thought of going to Africa, going to Kenya, all of the uncertainty of that? I mean, how was that for you, kind of getting past that, let's say that threshold to where you make the commitment to go?
I was just so excited to go. I was single. I was also, widowed at the time, had 4 kids, and it was the kids and my sister that it was so hard on. They were terrified for me to leave. And in fact, it was the enemy using them because my family was so important to me. But I know he was trying to stop me from going through them. And for example, one of my sons said, "So you are willing to go to Kenya to work with the widows and orphans, but you might make us orphans." And that just pierced my heart. But I knew it's what God was calling me to do. And then my sister, before I left, called me crying, begging me not to go. But again, I just knew that's what God wanted me to do. And so once I went the first time and saw how safe and how capable the staff is, I mean, I never felt any fear or any being uncomfortable in Kenya at all. It's just an amazing experience. And so I don't know about David. I don't think he had any fear.
No, by the time that we actually went, I guess processed it enough that I had no apprehension. There's a little bit of something, about the unknown. Of course, that's kind of a natural response to when you're doing something like that. But once I got there, I've been there 4 times, and I've never experienced any kind of fear there. I just know in my heart God wants me to be doing that, and He will protect me. And so there's no fear that I have experienced on any of my trips.
And now with my family, they're all very, very supportive. All of the kids, my sister, they know that we go pretty much, we've been going now every year for 3 years in a row and want to continue that. And And I know they feel safer because David's with me now. I'm not going by myself. But they have now met Isaac when he was here in Tennessee. All of my family got to meet him. And so that was just even more reassuring for them.
For both of you, that first experience of going, I mean, when I think back to my trip there in 2019, in November of that year, and just being at the lodge, it was like, for me, holy ground.
Oh, absolutely. And I know the second time I went back, we were on a team and we drove up to Hart. And I guess I didn't even realize I said it out loud, but one of the team members, this trip we just went on in this last month, he commented that he came back again because he just remembered when we drove up and I said, "We're home." It's emotional, but that's what it's like. It's amazing. And I mean, there are no words to describe the Kenyan people, how loving. And I mean, you meet them, the instant you meet them, you know you're loved. And they're so grateful and appreciative. It's very safe. I mean, it's just a beautiful grounds. We just love getting to know the staff. That's probably almost as important for us as, working with the mothers and the children. We keep going back for them as well.
Yes, the lodge is an amazing place. It's a great base that we use. I consider it like a base camp, although it's a beautiful lodge. But we are based there and go out from there, and it's just a very relaxing, calming experience being back there. I consider it. I know Ginny does too. That they're like our family now. We've been there enough times that we know virtually everyone on staff there, and the ones that go out with us into the field, and the ones that are at the lodge that take care of us there. And it's just a warm feeling, a very spiritual feeling being there at the lodge.
I don't know. We can't stop talking about Heart. We love it. We love what Heart does, what God's doing through Heart. Every single trip is different. And then it's just so rewarding to go and see the mothers. Maybe it's a mom that we were there and she was brand new in the program telling us her story of just coming in. And then we go back, probably it was like 2 years later for this one mom, and she's actually discipling now the new moms coming in. And that was just powerful to see, this woman from being sick and, ostracized to now she's discipling the new mothers. And, who knows better what they're going through than a mother that's been through it herself.
I find myself not being able to stop talking about Heart to people once they ask about it. There are so many different just aspects of what goes on there. One is when we first arrive and meet the mothers, and the way they come out and greet us, and the joy in their eyes that we've come from so far away, and we came to see them, to stand in front of them, and to hug them. And they're not used to that. They're used to being pushed away and kicked to the side of the street, literally. And so when somebody comes and just loves on them, you can see in their eyes that God has not forgotten them, that God is taking care of them, that they're not cast offs, they're not just trash kicked to the side of the street. And Heart comes along and changes that whole idea in their minds.
And if there's one single most memorable thing for me, the very first time I went, and it was when we drove up to building the first house and the women were lined up out on the road singing already. It was like, wait a minute, what is that? And there they were. It was just so powerful.
Yes, that for me, that's probably the thing that hits me the deepest in my heart, is that interaction with those mothers and just seeing what they've come through. And we've been there when they've graduated through the program, and seeing the joy, and it's just a nonstop party at that point. And knowing that for the last 18 months or 2 years, they've come from being very ill, barely surviving, to thriving and being an important part of their community. And so it's just an amazing thing to see.
And one thing, the joy, we just can't express that enough, because when I do find when I talk to people, they think it's a hard thing to go there and we're going to see a lot of poverty and starving people or sick people. And we do, but I think the joy that the Kenyans, not just the mothers, but it seems like all the Kenyans we meet, are that joy of the Lord is just overshadows all of that. And I always think of that one verse in the Bible of those who are poor in the eyes of the world. And that's what I see is they're poor in our eyes here, but they're so rich in their love of the Lord and in their spirituality that every single time I go, I just say, I wish I could bring this back to the United States, because it's what the world needs, is what they have, yet they may have no material possessions, but they've got so much more than we do. And the very first time I went, also, it was like, at first I couldn't figure out, why are they so happy? They have nothing, again, comparing to how we live. And I just realized by the time I left that it was like, well, they have nothing but God. And for me, the best, and now, I mean, they're so much like Jesus, the Kenyans, because they are there to serve. They want you to be happy. And when I think of the fruits of the Spirit, they are every one of those: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, self-control. I mean, that describes the Kenyans.
This last trip that you took, you were saying too that it was unique from all of the others. You want to tell us a little bit about that? What made it unique, and a little bit about your group that was kind of diverse and so on?
Yes, this trip was, I would say, the most unique team in the sense that it was so diverse, with different age groups, different generations that were involved on that team. There was about 15 to 17 people, kind of varied. But we had people that were young. We had people there was a 17-year-old and some early 20-year-olds, and we had that generation represented. But then we had some of the people in their 30s and 40s represented, and one father and son. The 17-year-old father was on our group, and then there's our group, the older generation that were represented there. And a lot of times there could be problems with so many diverse ages involved, especially on a trip like that, where they're long days, and everyone's getting tired and everything. But this trip was that everyone just blended so well and served so well when the need came up to serve and a situation. A lot of times it was just a spur of the moment type thing. They would just pitch in, and we had times where we needed groups of somebody to go and talk to a group of people that we weren't really planning on. And we had volunteers. Some of the younger people would volunteer to come over, and I was just amazed at the positive attitudes that remained all through the 2 weeks of our team, and it just seemed to work really well.
I mean, every team has been great. Every team has been different. Every trip has been very different. They always seem to kind of have a theme. For me, I figured out, like, the very first time I went in 2014, it was about multiplication. Every single thing that we did was multiplied. It was just, I mean, literally mind blowing what God was doing while we were there. Everything we touched, like, we built a home. Well, we got to provide furniture, which back then we didn't do. We brought water to Old John Yanyoki, supplied, it was going to be 1 week's worth of water. Well, then we were able to bring a second week of water before we left. And then after we got home, another load of water went. So that was multiplied 3 times. It was, if we were providing a blanket and a bag of ugali for a mother, it ended up being 2 blankets and 2 bags of ugali. Then a trip we went on was a very small trip. It was just 3 couples. And that was really unique. It was really awesome, very intimate time with the moms. And on that trip, we got to see from the very, very beginning, brand new moms, and we got to see it through the whole, every step of the program. Then the second moms who were learning trade. And then we went and visited some of the mothers' businesses and got to order clothes from couple of the ladies that had a dress shop. So that trip was really unique. So everyone is different and everyone is so unique. And it's just, God is doing something different every time. I think last year when we went, it was all about the staff. It was a very personal time. There were a couple of staff members who had lost family members. And it just, I don't know, there was just something about that where I think God was drawing us closer together with the staff. And then this year, I think it was all about the team. The team was just amazing. Just these, there were 2 sisters and we met them at the airport, and it was like the instant we met each other, it was like, it was indescribable.
It's team-driven ministry because we go there, and it's more important than the physical things we bring to them is the relationship part that we bring, and that we come back. They always say, please return, or I forget the term they use, but
Come again and
come
again.
again and again. And that's a very important thing to them, that we come back. That we're not just there doing a one-time thing. They want that constant relationship. And if I'm talking to somebody about thinking to go on one of the mission trips, it's that relationship building, and it's seeing what it does for them when you go there and you interact with them. They love it. They're very relational people, much more than, I would say, Western cultures. They love to sit and talk. So here we're ambassadors, and I think our goals, we have several that we want to just expand the knowledge and bring focus onto what Heart does, having fundraisers and information meetings here that we're in Tennessee now, and just building up that interest about Heart in Tennessee to start building teams and generating interest from here. We should start gaining that interest locally of people that are considering going on mission trips. And we have come across many people already here that are interested in going.
Thank you for joining us. To learn more about Heart, find us on the web at www.africaheart.com. Whether you're a regular Heart supporter or someone wanting to know more about this ministry, we'd love to hear from you. You can contact Lori Powell, Executive Director, directly at info@africaheart.com. Until next time, Asante Sana, many thanks, and may God richly bless you.